You're listening to the Secret Muse Society, where we pull out the things we keep hidden about ourselves. What are the secrets that actually hold us back from the connection we crave? And what happens when we tap into the inspiration we have to offer the world? I'm your host, authenticity coach Karen Choi. Let's dive in together. All aboard the train to Authenti City, the city of Authenti, Authenti City, authenticity in big lights, flashing, but don't get a seizure. This train is kind of going off the rails. I'm sorry. I just thought it would be fun to create a stupid jingle for the city of authenticity. So this one might not work, but that was fun. And we'll keep trying because part of authenticity, I think, is experimentation. What do you think? Hello, Muse. Welcome back. If you've been listening along, we are on episode 25. And if you are new here, welcome to this crazy town. This party city, this place where we can feel safe to be silly and goofy, to be sad and mad, to be frustrated and angry. Now it sounds like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, which actually is a little bit like The Wizard of Oz, where we meet the different parts of ourselves and walk along that yellow brick road to realize that we have always had what we've been looking for all along in our red ruby slippers. That's where the magic is always, in our hearts. I'm feeling a little goofy right now. That's just what it is. So welcome. This show exists to bring out the hidden parts of ourselves. So why hide this? And I'm hoping that by showing you the many colors of me, you will embrace the many colors of you. We don't have to be black or white. It's funny because literally, if we're talking about race or skin color, I am not black or white. I am one of the colors in between. So 3 cheers to the full spectrum of life and wholeness and completeness. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray. Authenticity is our topic of today, and it's actually our topic of all episodes, really. But the actual word authenticity, I want to revisit because it is becoming, or it has become, one of the buzziest buzzwords. On one hand, I am delighted that authenticity is at the top of our intentions, and it is one of the hottest destinations. But on the other hand, I'm also a little bit worried about authenticity being used and abused and twisted to a point where she, as a word, loses all meaning. And soon she becomes a concept that is just blah and status quo. And I don't want to live in a world like that. But actually, I do want to live in a world where authenticity is status quo. I just want her to maintain her meaning because she means a lot to me, and I have a feeling that she means a lot to you. So this episode, think of us as being on a train ride. We have a few stops on exploring what does authenticity mean to us. And at each stop, I hope you pick up something that resonates for you so that when we come to the end of our journey together in this episode, you will have a meaning that you can apply to your everyday life and explore. Because I don't believe that authenticity is a state. I don't think that you can be an authentic person. I believe that an authentic person is someone who is going through the process of authentication. Oh my gosh. What I'm trying to say is that authenticity is a process of becoming rather than of a state of being. So for our first stop, we ask, what does authenticity mean? And we are going to hear from the great thinkers of the world, the people that I admire and I'm going to read to you some of their beautiful words. Our next stop is the dictionary, where we will look at the meaning of the word authenticity. And then our third stop is actually kind of taking a few steps back, and we're asking, where did the word authenticity even come from? Because if you've been following along with me or you know me, you know that I love words. And I'll tell you why I love words, but the etymology of words, I'm starting to get really excited about. If I may right now tell you why I love words so much, is that so we know that our thoughts create actions, right? But the thing we don't talk about enough is that our thoughts are made up of words. So the words are actually the cores of our thoughts and the meaning of those words. And the meaning of those words create meaning of our thoughts. The meaning of our thoughts create meaning in our feelings. The meaning in our feelings lead us into action that also has meaning, which then those actions are the sum of the meaning of our lives. So I'm obsessed with words because they are at the root and they are at the core of meaning. And then on our fourth stop, we pull all of the things that we've picked up from the previous stop together to see what we've got in our goodie bag. And finally, when we hop off the train, we will have a bag or a sign or something that tells us a souvenir. How about that? About authenticity and what it means to you, what it means to me, and let it just be something for the moment, something you think about, reflect on. I don't know, use it however you want, but I just feel like coming back to the root of the word and the meaning is really important, because we don't want to just be saying words without meaning, because then it just is this domino effect of meaningless thoughts, meaningless feelings, meaningless action, meaningless lives, and everything becomes meaningless. And that's just sad to me. Let me start with a book called The Authenticity Hoax: How We Get Lost Finding Ourselves. And it's written by a guy named Andrew Potter. Full transparency, I have not read this book yet, but based on this description that I got off of Amazon, the book is in my Amazon cart right now, and I will definitely be reading it and probably sharing some of it with you because it's intriguing. Have a listen. Andrew Potter, he says, "We live in a world increasingly dominated by the fake, the prepackaged, the artificial, fast food, scripted reality TV shows, Facebook friends, and fraudulent memoirs. But people everywhere are demanding the exact opposite, heralding authenticity as the cure for isolated individualism and shallow consumerism. Restaurants promote the authenticity of their cuisine, while condo developers promote authentic loft living, and book reviewers regularly praise the authenticity of a new writer's voice." And I couldn't help but share this with you because I call myself an authenticity coach. And that's the work that I do with my clients, is really coming back to their authentic selves. And I believe that this work is really important, and it feels so right to me. To me, authenticity is a feeling of truth and of love. And I just want to share with you what I have found from the other great thinkers on the internet. Are we ready to get off at our first stop of what does authenticity mean? All right, my friends. Brené Brown, she says, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we actually are." Seth Godin, he defines authenticity as, "For me, it's not do what you feel like doing because that's unlikely to be useful. You might feel like hanging out on the beach, telling off your boss, or generally making nothing much of value. Authenticity as an impulse is hardly something to aspire to. It's not say whatever is on your mind either. Instead, I define it as consistent emotional labor. We call a brand or a person authentic when they're consistent, when they act the same way, whether or not someone is looking. Someone is authentic when their actions are in alignment with what they promise. Showing up as a pro, keeping promises, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't. That is Seth Godin from October 2017. According to Dr. Maya Angelou, she says, authenticity is simply telling the truth to yourself and others. The Bible. Now, the Bible doesn't have the actual word authenticity in it, but to me, if authenticity feels like truth and love, and truth and love is a lot in the Bible. John 17:17 says, sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. John 8:32 says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. 1 Corinthians 13:4-6 said, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Now, before I continue, because we still have many more friends to learn about what they think authenticity is, I don't know if I set this up right, but just listen to the words, take in what works for you, leave the rest, see what resonates for you, because this will all come together at our final stop. Okay, so let's go back. What Oprah Winfrey knows for sure about authenticity. She says, you can run away from yourself for a very long time. You can be married to the wrong person for decades and pretend it's fine. You can fake it doing work you only half care about. You can hide behind accoutrements, square footage and cars, big screen TVs and fancy vacations, but you will never get away with being a phony. Eventually, life reveals itself and shows you a mirror to help you see your own truth. And if you've been faking it, ignoring your thoughts and feelings, what I call your emotional GPS, the wake-up call can be harsh. The call often comes in the form of what, on the surface, looks like loss of a job, a relationship, your looks, or whatever external thing you use to find value in yourself. What you excavate deeper, examining more closely every situation that has fallen apart, you will find truth gone awry. I know for sure that we each contribute to the whole of what it means to be a human on earth. The fullness of our humanity can be expressed only when we are true to ourselves. Your real job on earth is to become more of who you really are, to live to the highest degree what is pure, what is honest, what is natural, what feels like the real you. Anything less is a faked life. To be authentic is the highest form of praise. You're fulfilling your mission and purpose on earth when you honor the real you. Your whole life becomes a prayer of thanksgiving. Wow. Thank you, Auntie Oprah. Charlie Chaplin. He said, as I began to love myself, I found that anguish and emotional suffering are only warning signs that I was living my own truth. Today, I know this is authenticity. Marjorie Williams Bianco of the Velveteen Rabbit. This is so beautiful. It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily or have sharp edges or have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all because once you are real, you can't be ugly except to people who don't understand. That was from The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams Bianco. Psychologist Carl Gustav Jung. He wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Marianne Williamson, she wrote, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, Who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Margaret Young wrote, "Often people attempt to live their lives backwards. They try to have more things or more money in order to do more of what they want so that they will be happier. The way it actually works is the reverse. You must first be who you really are, then do what you really need to do in order to have what you want." And coming back to Brené Brown, which in my humble opinion, she offers the most useful definition from her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. What resonated there for you? Let it sink in. Maybe you were writing down keywords. Maybe I should have let you know that. Or maybe just let it wash over you and the important stuff will stick. Trust that. All right, here we are at our second stop, checking the dictionary. Here we have 3 dictionaries: the Oxford Dictionary, Cambridge, and Merriam-Webster. The Oxford Dictionary defines authenticity as the quality of being authentic. Okay, thanks. That was helpful. And Captain Obvious has just left the train. Authentic as the adjective, they write, of undisputed origin, genuine. Made or done in the traditional or original way, or in a way that faithfully resembles an original. Or B, based on facts, accurate or reliable. Or C, relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposive, and responsible mode of human life. Oxford Dictionary also offers authenticity, or a definition of authentic, in relation to music. It says, of a church mode, it comprises the notes lying between the principal note or final and the note an octave higher. Cambridge Dictionary says authenticity is the quality of being real or true. And Merriam-Webster defines authentic as an adjective, and there are 4 here. 1A, authentic is worthy of acceptance or belief as conforming to or based on fact. B, conforming to an original so as to reproduce essential features. C, made or done the same way as an original. 2, not false or imitation. 3, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. And 4A, of another church mode, ranging upward from the keynote, and of a cadence, this is a music reference, progressing from the dominant chord to the tonic. So what themes have you picked up so far? We hear truth, not false, sincerity, honesty, valid, worthy, spiritual is a church mode. And for our music nerds out there, the tonic chord offers a sense of home and resolution, settled in a solution, deciding on a course of action. I also hear authenticity as valid and validating. Did you hear some of the similar things? And our wise friends that I quoted earlier, they're picking up a lot of these definitions in their writing about authenticity too. Okay, third stop, we're here. Looking up the etymology of the word. We ask, where did the word come from? The funny thing about etymology is it always reminds me of the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And this is actually the second time in this podcast that I am quoting from that movie. So I am guessing it made an impact on me, whether it was the immigrant family story or because I think the main actor is Canadian, Mia something. Anyway, I just love that movie. I remember watching it in the theater with my dad, and he laughed so hard at the dad who would spray Windex on any of his skin ailments, and also because of this quote that he kept doing.
Give me a word. Any word, and I show you how the root of that word is Greek.
Give me any word, and I show you how the root is Greek. So let's look at authenticity the way that they look at it in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Autos comes from the Greek word for self. Hentes comes from the Greek word for doer or being. So when you add autos with hentes, you get authentes, which is acting on one's own authority. And over time, authentes became authenticos, which means original, genuine, and principal. And there's a student from University of Michigan who posted on their student site from what looked like it was built back in the late 90s when I was also in university. And her name was Tiffany Mara. She also noticed similar things that I did, that the term authenticity is used to describe music and philosophy, education, art, writing, and motivation. And she asked what I asked too, is like, how could one term cover so many fields? And so she decided to look into the word's origin, and this is what she found. This is what she wrote. Descartes, and I may be pronouncing that wrong. Please don't judge me for that. Descartes first proposed the idea of authenticity as following a moral inner voice. And according to this voice, individuals must think and act responsibly. The notion of identity before Descartes was that an individual's morality was developed through their status in society and from sources external of the body. So she also found that Rousseau supported Descartes by saying that moral sense and authenticity is a voice of nature within us. And then there's another person who wrote about authenticity, and his name is Herder, takes this idea and extrapolates that creativity, authenticity, and originality are measures of existence, meaning that our identity is based on experiences and how we interpret those experiences. So, my friends, now we are entering the fourth station, which is pulling it all together. And when I pull all those elements together and lay them out with the contemporary definition found in the dictionary, we get 4 elements of authenticity. And laying things out is now just kind of reminding me of a saying that I learned from my friend, Kathleen, who will be my first guest on an upcoming episode. Kathleen says, when in doubt, lay it out. So here we are, a little bit not clear about what all of this means, but let's lay it out on the laundry table. Because I think that's what we were talking about, this quote, in reference to when in doubt whether it should go in the dryer or not, lay it out to dry, and it won't shrink. So let's lay out all these pieces on our laundry table, shall we? So I see 4 elements of authenticity. Number 1 is yourself. You start with a unique spirit, a musical key or a note that must be played and heard in the universe. So the focus is on you, a capital yourself or a capital self, capital S, which is built and aligned from the inside out. So you build yourself from the inside out, not the outside in, when other people or external influences are leading you. The focus is from yourself outward. Number 2 is ownership. You are the caretaker of all that you are and all that you can give and offer the world, and all that you can receive too. So acting on your own authority, taking responsibility by your own intentions and choices, and then being accountable for your actions, that is ownership. The third element of authenticity is genuineness. It's a quality of truly being what something is said to be. It's real, it's trustworthy, sincere, reliable, not a fake, and an acceptance for all that it is. Flaws, gems, everything. Genuineness is already validated and worthy. It's whole. And the fourth element of authenticity is accomplishment. We achieve it by weaving the truth, the unique key, and playing through effort, study, and practice. And now we've reached our fifth and final stop, the conclusion. This is where I hope we've got a goodie bag full of ideas about authenticity, and we can pull out a real treat that, or perhaps it's a gummy that we can chew on, or a nice lollipop that we can taste for a long time, see what's sweet, see what kind of flavor it gives us, see if we want to keep this flavor going. In our final stop, what do you think? We've heard ideas about authenticity from some great thinkers and writers and artists. We've heard how the dictionary defines the word authenticity. We've learned the origin of the word, where it came from. And now what's our conclusion? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? I'll give you a moment. I gotta say, Brene Brown's quote is still, and her definition is still my favorite because it's the most actionable. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we actually are. So it's not a state of being. It is, actually, maybe I'm taking that back, because a state of being is in the present moment. And I do believe that authenticity is found in the present moment. But authenticity as a skill, it's as a way of living, it's honed and it's practiced. And it really is about letting go of what is not so we can bring out what is. To me, authenticity is a spiritual practice. It's about coming back to source and the creator's intent. Authenticity is about aligning with the truth of who we are in the moment over and over again. Confucius says that every man has two lives, and the second starts when he realizes he has just one. So, like in Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, it starts with a call to adventure, right? And when I see you, I see me, we are the hero, we are the muse. And when we are called to adventure, I think that this is when we actually realize it's time to start the process of letting go of what no longer serves our journey. And it kicks off a path of coming home to yourself and reporting what you learned along the way to others, so you can meet people where they are on their journey. Authenticity is, to me, true purpose and power. Like Auntie Oprah said, right? It requires a process of getting to know oneself and practice using the gifts that we've been given and expressing them. That becomes our skill. That becomes our craft. That becomes our art. And the process of constantly aligning and realigning to that internal truth that we discover and rediscover, and the lies that we uncover and let go, and then new versions of us unfold. It's all like this beautiful circular process, this, not even a circle, but maybe even more of this infinity loop where we keep meeting in a center of that present moment to see where we are. Authenticity is how we create harmony within ourselves and the world. Like Henry David Thoreau says, we are constantly invited to be who we are. An authentic person is someone who does this work. And it requires so much self-love and self-awareness and self-acceptance and a courage to self-express. It's just this beautiful spiritual journey to me. In the work that I do one-on-one with clients, I call authenticity coaching. And it is this process of letting go of what is not so that we can make room for what is and we step into what will be. I want to leave you with a poem by Mary Oliver. And just to let all of this beautiful feeling of truth and love marinate and simmer, and just to sit with it. If you have clarity now, beautiful. Perhaps you're still kind of processing inside. Maybe you want, if you're an external processor, you can talk it out with a friend. I really encourage you to dive into the meaning of this juicy word, authenticity. The city of authentic. It's so much more than just a word. It is our way to ourselves. Okay, so enough of this, of my blabbering. The poem by Mary Oliver is called The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. I love you, Muse. Thank you for listening to the Secret Muse Society. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts to rate and review this podcast so other modern muses like you can find us too. I invite you to continue the conversation and connect with me on Instagram at KarenChoi.co. Join me next week for more secrets inspired by you. I'm Karen Choi. Until next time, stay gold.